Hello, good morning, afternoon, and evening, all who are watching today for the IELTS answer analysis class. Welcome to all of you, and I hope that you will be participating in today's class in order to learn on a specific element of the IELTS exam. So, as usual, if you are watching the class live, please let me know in the chat box. We are broadcasting live on both YouTube and Facebook. So if you are watching, just let me know in the chat box. Just let me know your name and where you're watching from today. And if you have any answers to the questions that we're going to be looking at today, then please let me know those as well. So a big warm welcome to both Jeff and Alice. Wonderful to see you both in the class. And hello to Mia as well. I can also see that Maria Luisa is in the class. Hello to you. And Jeff is watching from Abu Dhabi. Mia is in Birmingham. You're not too far away from me, Mia. Birmingham, that's quite close to where I am in the UK, just in Nottingham. Okay, so wonderful to see you all in the class today. What we'll be focusing on will be writing conclusions, which is a very important topic because, of course, that's something you need to be able to do effectively in order to score well in IELTS writing part 2. You can see that Hazel is here and from Luton, a little bit further away than Birmingham, but still not too far. I was at Luton Airport the last time I could travel abroad, which seems like a very long time ago now. So let's have a look at this. Writing effective conclusions is the focus of today's answer analysis session. Just before we have a look at that, I want to remind you that when we do look at conclusions, we have to make sure that we include other parts to our IELTS essay as well. So for writing part 2, we must always include a clear, focused introduction, 2 structured main body paragraphs, and a consistent, focused conclusion. The important element with IELTS writing part 2 is that all these 3 parts connect. So the ideas that you have in your conclusion should be a summary of what you've written in your main body, and they should also be consistent with the information you include in your introduction. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail then at writing effective conclusions. So in order to write an effective conclusion, you must make sure that you begin with an appropriate phrase. So examples of this are to conclude or in conclusion. You must also ensure that you provide a clear, consistent opinion. So this is what I was saying before, that your opinion must agree with the opinion stated in the introduction, and also it must agree with the arguments that you make in your main body as well. It must be consistent. Your conclusion should also briefly summarize the arguments that you've made in the main body. And for an effective conclusion, it should be around 2 to 3 sentences in total. So it doesn't have to be a long paragraph, but it has to make sure that it does those key things, that it states your opinion and summarizes your main arguments. Another element of writing an effective conclusion is that you should paraphrase. So even though you are summarizing arguments that you've already made in the main body, you shouldn't just repeat the same vocabulary. This is an opportunity to use more variety in your vocabulary, and paraphrasing is the way in which you could achieve that. So let's have a look at the task then. In the task, we can see there are 2 conclusions. So I have 2 questions. The first question is, what phrase is used to begin each conclusion, and how many sentences does each conclusion have? So just a couple of quick questions. Let me know in the chat box if you have the answers. Okay, so Can see that Alice and Jaime have joined us here, or Jamie, it might be pronunciation. Alice thought the time has changed. The time has changed in the UK, that is true. But as there are so many students that are watching in other countries, we have maintained the same time in those countries. Okay, so in terms of then the phrase that's used to begin the conclusions, do we have any comments on those? Let's have a look at this then in and underline where we can find the answers to these questions. So first of all, what phrases used to begin them? Well, the first one is to sum up. So to sum up is a way in which you could begin your conclusion. In the second conclusion, we have all in all. Okay, so these are two phrases that are used to begin our conclusions. How many sentences does each conclusion have? Well, in the first one, we can see we've got 2 sentences. So the first sentence we can see states the opinion, and then the second sentence actually states what should be done about this. So this is an answer to a problems and solutions essay. So it restates the main problems, the main solutions, and what should be done in the future. In the second conclusion, we can see that we have the opinion in the first sentence. Or rather a statement of the problem. The second sentence, we have a statement of the solution. And then the third sentence, again, what can be done in the future going forward. Okay, so 2 or 3 sentences per conclusion. Okay. So moving forward then, let's have a look at the actual task itself. We're going to have a look now at the specific phrases that are used in the conclusion so that we can practice using these phrases in our own conclusions, and so that we can also recognize elements of paraphrasing. So just as I was saying before then, this is an opportunity to share your ideas. If you are able to answer any of these questions, if you completed the task before the class began, then please do let me know what you think in relation to the answers. So let's have a look then again at this task. First of all then, in conclusion, 2 phrases which have the meaning in conclusion. Does anyone have the answer to this question? Let me know if you do. Okay, so for this one then, in conclusion, we can find that those 2 phrases that we looked at before that began the paragraphs, these are paraphrases of that expression. So to sum up or all in all means in conclusion. Okay, so that's the first one. What about number 2, in my opinion? Any idea there? 2 phrases which mean in my opinion. Again, let me know in the chat box if you have the answers. So looking at this one then, in my opinion, the first one we've got here is in my view. We can see there. That's giving an opinion. And in the second one, as I see it, is another way of giving an opinion as well. So 2 Hello, all. Sorry about that. I had some technical difficulties there, which meant that I got cut off. But let's pick up where we were before. I can see that we've had some answers to the questions that I asked. In my view, in terms of giving opinions, absolutely. Let's pick up again with where we were. In my view, and the second expression was as I see it. So both of these mean in my opinion. Okay, for number 3, start to solve the problem. Which expression has this meaning? To start to solve the problem. Any ideas? To start to solve the problem? Let me know in the chat box if you have the answer to this question. Okay, very good. Gurpreet, take steps to deal with the problem. Absolutely. So governments must take steps to deal with the problem. So take steps means to start, and obviously deal with is a paraphrase for solve. It's clear that. What's an expression which has this meaning? Let me know. It is clear that. Any ideas on this one? Okay, so an expression which has this meaning is there is no doubt that. So if we use this expression, there is no doubt that, it has the same meaning as it is clear that. A problem which is more and more serious. What do we think about this? Problem which is more and more serious. Let me know what you think. Okay, so for this one then, if it's more and more serious, a paraphrase would be an increasingly worrying issue. Okay, so increasingly, more and more, worrying, serious. So that's how we're paraphrasing this expression here. Okay, for number 6, governments, parents, and schools should all do something. Should all do something. How can we paraphrase this? Any suggestions? Okay, so for the previous one, I can see Gurpreet and Eram correctly identified that expression, which was great. Anna Karenina have a role to play. Good. Very good. Anna, that is the one. So if we highlight that expression, it says here, governments, parents, and schools all have a role to play. Yeah, should all do something. So another useful expression that we can use. And finally, we must act quickly. What do we think about that one? We must act quickly, a way to paraphrase this. Okay, so yeah, we could use this expression here. Action must be taken urgently. So it's using the passive voice in this case, but the meaning is the same. So the answers then, all of these are really useful phrases which you should try to incorporate into your conclusions where appropriate. We can see particularly these will be useful phrases for problems and solutions issues and those types of essays. But for some of these expressions, giving opinions, the beginnings of conclusions, we could use them in all of our conclusions. So if you're not using these expressions at the moment, try to integrate them into your practice in preparation for the exam. So thank you to all of those who've watched live. Just before I finish today, I'd like to make you aware of our IELTS scholarship program. There is the opportunity to sign up for this program today to take the opportunity to have an experience of working abroad. So if you are a nurse who would love the idea of working in the USA, get in contact with us. I will be sharing the email address in the chat to contact, and you could be working with the largest recruiter of nurses in the United States, which is Connetics USA. So do get in contact with us if you would like to find out more information about that. And as I say, I'll be sharing the link in the chat box so that you can find out more information. When you click on the link, make sure that you click on the option Staff Nurse. And if you click on the option Staff Nurse, then you will be able to find out more and take advantage of this opportunity. Okay, so thank you all for those who are watching this class. I hope that you have found it useful, and I look forward to the next class, which will be at the same time. It's now the UK time, 3:30, next week. Until then, in fact, sorry, not next week. It will be on Thursday. Until then, take care.